I received some inquiries about this Infeed table, and this one I actually originally got from Izzy Swan. He doesn't make them anymore, so I figured since I intend to make a larger one, I'd make a video about it. This is a brief overview of the Infeed table and how it works. I'm going to link the plans down below in the description, but if you stick around, you can watch my process building the new Infeed table as well as the installation process. So the construction of it is relatively simple. You're going to need a few things. There's a piece of angle aluminum here. I happen to have this left over from another project I was working on. You're going to need the actual clamp. I'll link to this in the description. And then there's some self-adhesive cork here that's used basically as a shim. But it also does provide a nice purchase on the rail here. So I've got some self-adhesive silicone, which would be pretty much the same thing. Or you can use, self-adhesive cork. You're also going to need double-sided tape for the installation of this angle piece. Here I'm just measuring out and drawing the design for the new Infeed table. It doesn't technically have to be this shape. I mean, the curves have a nice look to them, but honestly, it could just be a giant rectangle if you wanted it to be. However, I do think there are benefits to doing the cutout. Now that the shape is roughed out, it's time to sand to the final dimensions. But in order to do that, I got to put my bandsaw away because my shop is tiny, and in order to access my belt sander, I need to clear a path here. Here I'm just setting up my dado stack to make the channel in the Infeed table. In hindsight, I think I should have been trying to match the new miter channel for my saw rather than the slot in the old Infeed table. This old Infeed table has an oversized channel to allow for a variety of miter gauges. But since this is custom, I might as well just build it to fit my table, right? Here I'm just checking the depth of the channel and setting the dado stack to the correct height. After you cut the aluminum angle, it's a good idea to go ahead and clean up the edges. I like to round the corners as well, just so they don't snag on anything. And now it's time for the dry fit. So you just want to set it up and make sure that you're going to get the height of your Infeed table to be flush with the height of your table saw table. It could be a little taller, but if it's a little under, then it's going to hang up when you try to push it through. Looks like I got it pretty dead on here, so I'm pleased with that. We're going to go ahead and proceed to the next step. This aluminum is pretty soft, so I didn't have any issues drilling through it. But you're going to want to also use a countersink bit to recess the head of the screws. All right, home stretch. Time for the install. So you're just going to put your metal angle up against your rail. I used a little block of wood to kind of wedge it in there and make sure that it didn't move around while I'm installing the Infeed table. Then you just apply your double-sided tape. And here I'm using a shim just to make everything nice and tight. You just drop the table straight down on top, making sure it's flush with your cast iron table. Apply pressure, remove the shim, and just slide it out. Then you're going to go ahead ahead and affix the metal angle to the infeed table using the screws. I went ahead and decided to go with the self-adhesive silicone on this build. I guess time will tell if I love it or hate it. But I can't really see why it would give me any problems. Alright, time for the installation of the clamp. You want to make sure it does not interfere with this channel. Now, as far as the length from the rail, I basically just left the clamp in the clamped position, and the bolt is about halfway into its full depth. So I figured that would leave me some play on either end so that I can adjust it later on. Here I'm just drawing a square line or a parallel line so that I can make sure I get this thing squared up. And then I'm just going to attach it with some pan head screws. As you can see, it's not clamping, so I just have to go ahead and loosen that nut and then screw the bolt and just play with it till I get it to the right position. And that's the build. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. I've got about an extra 6 inches here, which is pretty much all I needed. If you need more, go ahead and change it. I mean, you can change literally any of these dimensions to suit your needs. The one thing I do want to say is, in order to get the miter gauge into the slot, I had to carve out a little bit larger recess at the front. I hope this helps, and if it did, shoot me a comment or a like. Good luck.